So, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine the AI that, usually just helps you debug a Python script, suddenly deciding to uh, email your product manager,
Yeah.
update your project tracking board, and, I don't know, draft the weekly engineering budget.
Right, which sounds a bit sci-fi, but today we are actually looking at a scenario where the tools we use to build software are, well, they're starting to look a lot like the tools we use to run the entire company.
Exactly. Put simply, what happens when the AI that helps write your code starts, managing your entire workday? So today we are taking a deep dive into a major announcement. It was published by OpenAI on June 2026, and it's titled Codex for Every Role, Tool, and Workflow.
Yeah, and our mission today is to look really closely at, well, OpenAI's positioning here, along with their updated platform documentation, because, we want to unpack why this isn't just a simple feature update. It is a massive shift in their business model and their product strategy.
Right. And the stakes here are, they're incredibly high, right? Whether you are a software developer, a business leader, or really just someone who wants to track where the global economy is going, grasping this specific shift is going to show you exactly where the entire enterprise software industry is heading next.
Absolutely, because the documentation, it outlines this future where AI systems don't just chat. They use external tools, they, plan across these really complex steps, and they interact seamlessly with standard enterprise systems.
Yeah. And as we explore these concepts today, we are actually going to speak just a little bit slower than usual. We really want to give you, the listener, time to absorb the specific business terminology that, the industry insiders are actually using to describe this shift.
Right, because these concepts are foundational. So we're going to take our time breaking down the actual mechanics of how this works. And, let's just start with the target audience.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Because traditionally, Codex was viewed as this highly specialized tool, right?
Yeah.
It lived inside a code editor, and it was, built pretty much specifically for software engineers.
Right, but this June 2nd announcement signals a really clear departure from that narrow focus. OpenAI is now explicitly positioning Codex for non-engineering professionals.
Right.
They are moving aggressively into what the industry calls knowledge work.
Knowledge work. Pause. Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Sure. So this term encompasses any professional role that requires analyzing information, making strategic decisions, or managing complex operations. So, rather than physical labor or strictly technical programming.
Oh, I see. So by expanding into knowledge work, Pause OpenAI is basically signaling that their platform is, well, it's designed for the finance teams, the marketing directors, human resources managers, people like that.
Exactly. They're going after the whole office, essentially.
Hmm.
But, I do want to push back on that just slightly because, reading documentation about an AI expanding its reach, it always sounds great in a press release.
Oh, for sure. Always does.
But how does a language model, which fundamentally is just predicting the next word in a sequence, actually do the job of, like, an operations manager? It generates text. It doesn't have hands to, click the buttons in a marketing dashboard.
Yeah, and that right there, that is the core technical hurdle. And it brings us to a major transition in what AI can actually do. Because in the past, you prompted a model, and it provided a conversational text response, right?
Like a chatbot.
Exactly. And then you had to copy that text, and, you had to go apply it somewhere yourself.
Yeah.
But this updated tools and agents documentation, it describes models that are capable of generating structured data.
Oh, okay. Structured data, like JSON payloads.
Precisely. Data that can interact directly with standard application programming interfaces, or APIs. Wait, okay. So instead of the AI just telling me, hey, here's the code you should write, the AI is actually generating the specific digital instructions required to, actually push that code to a repository, update the team status page, and maybe send a notification message on Slack.
Yes, exactly. So the technology is shifting from simply providing answers to actually executing tasks inside real software environments. And industry analysts refer to this specific capability as actionability.
Pause. Actionability. Pause. I like that. It makes it sound active.
Right. The AI possesses the agency to take concrete multi-step actions on its own, just based on, a high-level command from the human user.
That makes total sense. So it's really the difference between asking a search engine for a dinner recipe versus having a system that automatically orders your groceries, sets the oven temperature, and then just pings you when dinner is ready.
That is a perfect analogy, yes. And crucially, it is doing this work inside the software you are already using.
Right. It's not making you learn a new system.
Exactly. The AI is not asking you to log into some new separate website. It's functioning directly within your email client or your company database. This is a strategic concept known as embedded execution. Pause.
Okay, embedded execution. Pause. Meaning the actual execution of the work is, well, deeply embedded into your existing daily environment.
Spot on. You don't go to the AI comes to your work.
You know, this concept of embedded execution pause really feels like the tipping point here. Because if the AI is living inside all these different applications, it has to communicate with them all simultaneously.
Right, it has to talk to everything at once.
And OpenAI's announcement really highlighted Codex's ability to integrate with these commonly used organizational systems. But to understand the mechanics of this, I think we really need to look at how a modern professional actually works.
Yeah, let's break that down.
Because nobody uses just one app anymore. You have a chat application, a document editor, a cloud storage drive, a customer database. Together, this entire suite of software is known as a tool chain. Pause.
A tool chain. Pause. And the term is highly visual, if you think about it. Each separate software application is basically a link in the chain that gets a project from start to finish.
Yeah, and historically, the human being was the only thing connecting those links. You know, you would manually copy data from the database link, and then you'd manually paste it into the document editor link.
Which is incredibly tedious. But with the expanded context windows and the API access that we are seeing in this new documentation, the AI can actually see across the entire toolchain, pause all at once.
All at once. Wow. So it has full visibility.
Yes, which allows the AI to perform a function called orchestration pause.
Orchestration. Pause. Okay.
It isn't just operating one tool, It is
Yeah.
actively coordinating the flow of data and tasks across multiple different software applications simultaneously.
Okay, so let's try to avoid the obvious cliche of comparing this to, like, a conductor leading an orchestra, right?
Huh, fair enough. What's a better one?
Well, when I think of orchestration, pause, I think of the expediter in a massive, high-end restaurant kitchen.
Oh, I like that. The person standing at the pass.
Exactly. The expediter isn't chopping the vegetables, and they aren't cooking the steak. Their entire job is to just look at all the incoming orders, tell the grill station when to fire the meat, tell the pastry chef when to start the dessert, and ensure everything hits the dining room table at the exact same temperature.
That is fantastic. Yes.
So the AI is essentially the expediter for your software tools.
It captures the mechanism perfectly because the AI manages the timing, it manages the sequence, and the dependencies of the work. And, if we zoom out from those technical mechanics to the broader business strategy, the implications here are massive.
Right. It changes everything.
It really does. We are basically watching developer tools mutate into a much, much more valuable category of software. They are becoming a workflow layer. Pause.
A workflow layer. Pause. So this means the product is no longer just like an isolated application sitting on your desktop.
Yeah.
It is becoming the underlying infrastructure that actually supports how a business fundamentally operates.
Yeah.
It's like the central nervous system connecting all the different departments.
Yes, the central nervous system. And to successfully establish a workflow layer, Pause, a technology company, really has to prioritize one specific feature above absolutely everything else.
Which is?
The AI must be able to communicate flawlessly with thousands of different third-party applications. And this necessity brings us to the concept of interoperability.
Pause. Interoperability.
Ah.
Pause. That's a big one. So the ability for disparate software systems to exchange data and operate with one another without any restriction.
Right. Because in the current software economy, AI products create exponentially more value when they can operate across real environments. I mean, if an AI can only read data from OpenAI's own servers, well, its utility is severely capped.
Yeah, nobody works entirely in just one vendor's ecosystem.
Exactly. But with high interoperability, Pause the AI creates a bridge. It can analyze financial data in one vendor's system and then use that insight to, update a marketing campaign in a completely different vendor's system.
Okay, let's test that theory against the reality of the enterprise market. Because this AI is bridging the gap between, say, the finance department and the marketing department, then it's becoming cross-functional. Pause.
Yes, a cross-functional Pause tool spans across different departmental silos. So it isn't just for the engineers anymore, it serves the entire organization.
But see, here is where I kind of struggle with OpenAI's positioning.
Okay, why is that?
Well, traditional enterprise software giants, companies like SAP, Oracle, or Salesforce, they have spent decades and literally billions of dollars building these customized cross-functional POS workflows for large corporations.
They absolutely have.
So is a tool that basically started as an AI coding assistant really going to just, rip and replace a multi-million-dollar enterprise integration?
Well, the documentation actually points to a different angle. It's really interesting. The AI isn't necessarily replacing the underlying databases of those legacy systems.
Okay. So what is it doing?
It's replacing the interface.
Ah,
Think about it. If an employee can simply ask Codex to pull a report, they never actually have to log into Salesforce or SAP. The legacy software basically gets relegated to being a dumb storage locker in the background, while the AI becomes the primary platform for work management.
POS. Work management.
Pause.
Right, which refers to the systems and methodologies companies use to, assign tasks, track project deadlines, monitor employee progress.
Exactly.
So by controlling the interface, OpenAI is basically quietly entering the arena with the giants of enterprise software. They are intercepting the user before the user even reaches the legacy software.
That's the playbook. And from a business perspective, capturing the work management pause layer is, well, it's the ultimate strategic moat. Because moving from a single role, like assisting a programmer, to managing a company-wide workflow, it dramatically expands the company's product surface area. Pause.
Product surface area. Pause it.
Okay.
I love this term. It's a brilliant metric
It really is.
because it measures the total number of contact points a product has with the user's daily life or, a company's operations. Like if you only use an AI to check your spelling once a day, its surface area is very small.
It's very small, yeah.
But if you use it to check your code and email your boss and schedule your meetings and analyze your data, its surface area covers almost your entire professional life.
Exactly. Now, consider what happens when entire teams start building their daily operational routines. Pause around this expansive AI.
Right, the operational routines.
What?
So these are the standardized step-by-step habits and processes that a team follows every single day to get their work done. Like a specific sequence of reviewing code, getting managerial approval, and then pushing an update to the public.
Precisely. And when those daily operational routines pause, are deeply mapped to the specific logic and the API connections of one particular AI platform, it creates incredibly strong switching costs. Pause.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics of a switching cost. Pause because I feel like it's often misunderstood.
It is, yeah. People usually just think about the money.
Right. It is not just the literal financial price of buying new software licenses. If a company decides to, say, move away from Codex to a competitor, the switching cost includes the thousands of hours required to manually rebuild all those API hooks.
Oh, yeah. The integration nightmare.
Yeah. And it's the friction of retraining hundreds of employees. It's the disruption to the company's institutional memory, which has essentially been baked into the specific prompts and context windows of that original AI.
That's the real trap. The disruption is so severe that companies simply will not leave. When you have high switching costs, pause. You don't even need to force your customers to stay. Leaving just becomes mathematically and operationally impossible.
Wow. This reframes the entire June 2026 announcement for me. Because OpenAI isn't just trying to sell a better coding tool.
Not at all.
They're trying to weave their technology so deeply into the fabric of a company's operations that removing it would basically tear the business apart. They're moving from, a replaceable feature to an irreplaceable foundation.
Exactly. And building on that idea, there is a really fascinating shift happening right now in the actual vocabulary of the technology sector. And it is directly tied to everything we've just discussed.
I noticed this as well when we're analyzing the source material. And for you, the listener, tracking these trends, I really want to highlight this. It's a profound change in the language being used by investors, founders, engineers.
It's everywhere.
Because just a few years ago, the conversation around AI was completely dominated by intelligence words.
Right. How smart is it?
Exactly. We constantly talked about how smart a model was, its reasoning capacity, its parameter count, or, its ability to pass a standardized test like the bar exam.
Yeah, but if you look at the documentation and the strategic positioning today, the vocabulary has shifted entirely. We are moving away from those intelligence words, and we are moving aggressively toward infrastructure words.
Infrastructure words.
Yeah.
Words like interoperability, pause orchestration, pause, and switching cost. Pause. They have absolutely nothing to do with how smart a neural network is.
Nothing at all.
They are entirely focused on how the technology integrates into the physical structure of a business.
And understanding this vocabulary shift is vital for anyone listening, because these terms describe exactly how companies actually capture financial value in the AI era.
Let's look at how these terms function together in the real world just to cement this. Because if you are a technology leader making purchasing decisions today, your primary question is no longer, is this model 5% smarter than the competitor?
Right. Nobody cares about 5% anymore.
Right. Your primary question is about interoperability. Pause. You need to know if the model can securely connect to your proprietary HR systems and your financial databases.
Because if a model lacks that integration, it honestly doesn't matter how intelligent it is.
Yeah, it's like hiring a brilliant consultant who refuses to speak the same language as the rest of your team and won't use email.
Exactly. The friction just destroys the value. So to be a true workflow layer, pause, the AI absolutely must communicate seamlessly.
And once it does communicate seamlessly, that's when we see the execution of orchestration. Pause.
Yes. The AI takes over all that tedious manual labor of moving data from one application to another. It just handles the logistics of the toolchain.
Which naturally leads us right back to the ultimate goal of any enterprise software company, which is maximizing the product surface area. Pause.
Full circle.
Yeah. By targeting knowledge work. Pause across multiple departments, OpenAI ensures that their product touches basically every single aspect of a company's operations.
And this is the critical insight for anyone studying business strategy right now. You do not achieve market dominance simply by having the best algorithm anymore.
Right.
You achieve dominance by creating embedded execution. Pause. You embed your product so deeply into a team's operational routines. Pause, that you become invisible, but completely essential.
And that deep integration is exactly what generates that massive switching cost. Pause we discussed earlier. The technology industry has realized that the companies that win the next decade, they won't necessarily be the ones with the smartest AI. They will be the ones that own the workflow.
The vocabulary really reflects the reality of the market here. The era of the standalone AI demo, it's over. We are firmly in the era of AI infrastructure.
Wow. Okay. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, analyzing the deeper mechanics behind this strategic shift. Let's synthesize this deep dive into 3 crisp, memorable takeaways for you, our listener, to carry forward into your own work.
Absolutely. First, the shift in audience. OpenAI's Codex is evolving from a highly specialized, narrow assistant for software engineers into a really comprehensive platform designed for all types of knowledge work. Pause.
Right. So it is expanding its reach from just the engineering department to the entire organization.
Second, the shift in capability. We are seeing a fundamental transition from conversational AI that simply answers questions toward AI that exhibits actionability. Pause.
Right. And through API integration and orchestration, Pause the AI is now actually taking concrete, multi-step actions across a user's entire suite of software tools.
And finally, third, the shift in business strategy. By transforming developer tools into a cross-functional Pause workflow layer, Pause companies exponentially expand their product surface area.
Exactly. And this strategy locks enterprise customers in by creating incredibly high switching costs. Pause positioning these AI companies to compete directly with legacy enterprise software giants.
Which is a huge deal.
It is. This analysis fundamentally changes how I view every new product announcement in the AI space now. But before we wrap up today, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought to really mull over, kind of building on this idea of embedded infrastructure.
Right. So consider your own team's operations a few years from now. I want you to imagine a state where every internal process, every data pull, and every communication flows through an AI workflow layer. The AI is the expediter for your entire business.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If that layer completely manages your operations flawlessly, does the underlying reasoning intelligence of the AI model even matter as much anymore?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If a competitor releases a slightly smarter model, would you even care if your current AI already owns your workflow? Once the tool owns the routine, the workflow itself becomes the ultimate competitive advantage, completely overshadowing raw intelligence.
That is a staggering implication for the future of this tech arms race. And, it leads us perfectly into our final question for you, our listener. We really want to hear your perspective on this. So drop down into the comments section. Do you think AI products ultimately win the market by being the smartest models available, or do they win by being the most deeply embedded in your daily work? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. Keep analyzing, keep questioning, and we will see you next time.